Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to Randomly Random. I am Bwame, your internet bestie. Our iconic green backdrop is back! That's just by the way. Now to why we are actually here. How many of us, how many of you have had a deep family secret totally alter your life and totally change the dynamics of your relationship with other family members? Anyone? Today, we are watching and reacting to a 2024 movie titled The Real Pain. The plot: two cousins travel to Poland to honor their grandmother, but family secrets tear them apart. Get your snacks ready, get your popcorn ready, and let's get into this.
The movie opens at the airport, where we see Benji waiting for his cousin David to arrive. We then find David, who has just left the house for the airport. He calls Benji and informs him that he is caught in traffic and will take an hour to get there. Following this, with some time gone by, David finally arrives, and the two cousins hug. They check their luggage through security and get on a plane to Poland. In fact, they're headed to Poland on a Jewish heritage tour in honor of their recently deceased grandmother, Dory. On the plane, David immediately gets out his phone to look at pictures of his son, Abe.
Okay, just at the beginning, these two guys, I know I've seen them in movies, but I can't remember the movies. I just know that they are mostly in like comedic movies, if I'm right. Like most of the movies I've seen them in. I may be right or wrong. And wait, is that the guy that acted in Home Alone, or is that a different person? I'm totally confused. Or is this like Harry Potter? I'm totally confused, guys. I don't know. Is that Harry Potter, or is that the guy that acted in Home Alone, or am I just totally confused and mixing both of them up, or it's totally somebody else? Let me know in the comments. Let's continue.
He's married to a girl named Priya, while Benji is single. After some hours of flight, the two reach Poland and drive to their hotel, where they have a reservation. Arriving in their hotel room, Benji mentions he needs to take a shower. He proceeds with an awkward comment regarding David's feet. That there aren't any weird foot knuckles, like, stray hairs, or anything like their grandmother's feet. Both laugh as David says he has never evaluated them. After this, they both go to the hotel reception where they meet their guide, James. James then introduces his other tourists, who he is going to guide, Marcia, along with a couple named Mark and Diane, and a Rwandan refugee named Eloge, who converted to Judaism. Benji asks Eloge about his background, which David fears might cause a problem, but Eloge is happy about Benji's curiosity and shares an emotional...
Let me guess, we are not really like watching the real movie, the full movie, so we can't really hear the interaction. But let me guess, they gave this guy they made him do some thick African accent, right? Like, I wonder why they always try to portray African characters like that. I'm sure they made him switch code to some really thick African accent of what they think Africans sound like. Let me know if I'm right or wrong in the comments if you've watched the full movie. Let's continue.
Anecdote with the group. Eloge shares that he and his mother survived the genocide. He moved to Winnipeg with his mother's life savings sewn into the inside of his jacket. After this, the group goes around the city to explore, where they come across a monument of a Polish soldier.
Beautiful.
James tells them that he always starts his tour from there. He also adds that this tour will involve pain, loss, and suffering. They then wander around the park and go to have a meal. After the meal, James takes the group to Warsaw. He tells the group to take some photographs, but while David just wants to take normal pictures, Benji manages to get the whole group to make elaborate poses, which David takes a picture of. As they walk around...
I love this. Like, Benji's the fun cousin, like the fun, comedic and serious, humorous cousin. And then David, is it David? Yeah, David is like the most serious cousin it seems so far.
Benji bonds with others like Marcia. The group then comes back to the hotel as night falls, and Benji and David go to the roof to smoke. The next morning, they prepare for their next tour. James takes the group to the train station for their next adventure, and they all board the train. While riding the train, Benji becomes loudly uncomfortable about the fact that they, as Jewish people, are sitting in a train car that would have transported them to concentration camps during the Holocaust. Benji tries to explain about his discomfort indirectly, but nobody really wants to hear anything about that. Frustrated, he ends up going to a different train car with David following him, so he is not alone.
Bye.
After some time, the train stops at a station while David is sleeping. The two get off at a stop, and David realizes they are at the wrong station. Benji then tells him that they already passed.
Did you really think that you knew the place? You are in a country you don't know, people.
The right station while he was sleeping. David asks why he didn't wake him up, and Benji replies that he didn't wake him up because he was having such a good nap. He then comes up with a plan to reunite them with the group without buying new tickets. They get on a train heading in the opposite direction and use the excuse of going to the bathroom to avoid detection by the conductor, moving to the front train car, which happens to be first class. They stop at the next station and manage to reunite with the group, who had their bags waiting for them. They arrive in Lublin, where James tells them that Lublin has a rich Jewish history. It was known for a time as the Jewish Oxford. It was diverse, both culturally and intellectually. During this time, David asks Eloge if he likes religion, to which Eloge says yes. Meanwhile, Marcia approaches Benji and apologizes for what happened on the train, as she did not listen to him. He says it's okay, and they both bond with each other. While they are talking, David and Eloge join them, and the group arrives at a cemetery, where James is delivering his facts about the people buried there. Benji makes another scene, criticizing James for talking about the deceased as though they are just statistics, which makes David uncomfortable.
Is Benji bipolar or something? Like, where do those switches come from? Like, he's humorous and funny and just laughing and cracking jokes at one time, and then another he's all like erratic and what's happening?
Benji then convinces everyone to place a stone on the grave of a random man as a show of respect for his memory. After this, everybody stops at a restaurant for the evening where they are having dinner and drinking. They are talking about Jewish culture and the foods they really like.
I love it.
During that time, Benji becomes slightly drunk and makes inappropriate comments before belching loudly and saying he has to pee. After excusing himself, David apologizes to everyone for Benji's behavior. Some, like Marcia and Diane, are sympathetic as they know Benji is grieving the loss of their grandmother, Dory. David explains that they used to be much closer, but 6 months earlier, Benji had attempted suicide by overdosing. The group then overhears the sound of
I don't think you should be sharing that with total strangers you just met today or like yesterday. Why would you share such a personal experience of your cousins with like total strangers that do not know you guys? Like, I would be offended if anyone did that to me. If anyone I'm close to did that. Like, just divulged information about me to total strangers that we just met today or yesterday or whatever time they came. Huh? That's quite disrespectful and unsettling. I don't like that.
Piano in the restaurant before realizing that Benji is the one playing it. Seeing this, David becomes sad about his behavior and leaves the restaurant. He goes back to his hotel room and falls asleep. In the middle of the night, he hears someone in his room and wakes up. He asks the receptionist if they have seen Benji, but the receptionist says no.
Oh my goodness.
He calls Benji, but Benji does not respond and then falls asleep. The next morning, Benji shows up at the restaurant and David angrily asks Benji where he was last night. Benji says he was with Marcia, so he didn't wake him. Just then, James arrives to take the group to another place. During the ride, James takes a moment to tell...
Wait, I'm not going to go back. Or is it me? James seems to wear the same outfits every day. Maybe it's like the stipulated uniform for tour guides. Who knows?
The group that today's tour is going to be quite taxing because concentration camps can be pretty overwhelming. The group arrives at the site of a former concentration camp. While everyone has an emotional reaction to being there, Benji can barely contain himself while sitting next to David. James privately tells Benji that he managed to influence the...
What's happening with Benji? It looks like he's going through something more, like something deeper. Because he gets like over emotional and like, I don't know, over stimulated, I think. I think that's the word. For many of these experiences and events that they are having. Let's see if we'll find out.
The tour was conducted and thanks him for doing so. Later that night, after parting ways with the group, David and Benji sneak into a Hotel Victoria to go to the rooftop to smoke one time. While they are initially friendly, the conversation turns into an argument when Benji suggests that he won't hear from David for a long time after the trip is done. Benji says that David used to feel and cry more than he does now, which David says would feel terrible to do all the time. David, in turn, goes off on Benji for his suicide attempt and expresses anger at Benji for worrying the family like he did. The following morning, just before...
I feel like these people are two cousins that love each other, and it seems like they were closer when they were younger, but now they've grown apart because they have different lives and different experiences, you know? Benji is okay feeling his emotions, wanting to be sad, wanting to stay in his sadness or whatever every time. Maybe David doesn't want to do that, you know? David does not want to do that, and that's okay. As we grow, we have to find ways to sort of, is the word, for lack of a better word, manage our experiences or our reactions to our experiences. And if David does not want to, you know, stupor in sadness all the time, that's okay. If Benji wants to feel his emotions all the time, that's okay. But there should be like a point where there should be like a limit, you know, not necessarily a limit. I'm not getting the word I'm trying to find, but there should be a way to control that, you know, or there should be a way to accept how everybody decides to either grieve their grandmother or like grieve certain situations in their lives or move on from certain situations in their lives or just stay where they are at and reflect on those situations, you know. Everyone deals with things differently, and that's okay.
They go home. David and Benji stop at Dory's old home. Benji shares a story with David about how their grandmother slapped him across the face because he was later to meet her for dinner one night since he was getting stoned. Benji says it was the best thing that ever happened to him, David, then suggests on putting stone on the porch. The two leave stones on the porch as a tribute, but they are noticed by an elderly neighbor and his adult son.
Guys, if you're of Jewish descent or Jewish, let me know. Is leaving the stones like in memory of a loved one who passed? Is it like a tradition in Poland, or is it a tradition for Jews or something? Because they are of Jewish descent, right? And their grandma was from Poland. So I'm not really sure. Is it like a Polish tradition or like a Jewish tradition or something? Like, what does it signify? Let me know. It signifies respect or like remembering them. What does it signify? Because Benji has done it twice. First, he let the whole group put those stones on the tomb or the grave of the dead person, and then now they are doing it for their grandma. So I'm just curious, okay?
The son translates for his father and learns from the cousins what their purpose for their visit is. While they say that it's a sweet gesture, they say it's a bad idea to leave the stones because another old woman lives in the house and could trip on them. So David and Benji remove the stones before leaving.
That makes sense.
The two guys board the plane and return to New York. As they are leaving the airport, David invites Benji to his home for dinner, but Benji declines as he says that you meet the craziest people at the airport. David slaps him across the face like Dory did, hoping it might influence Benji as well. But Benji just laughs it off before they share a long hug. David returns home to Priya and Abe greeting him happily, while Benji sits at the airport alone once again. In this way, movie ends here. Thanks for watching, like and
Benji is just a lonely guy, like clearly. He could have just accepted David's invitation to come have dinner with him and his family, but he didn't. I think he doesn't want to be like intrude on their privacy or like be a bother, right? But clearly he's going through stuff because he's the one who attempted to himself, right? He attempted to unalive himself, right? He's the one. It was Benji, right? It wasn't David, yeah. I hope he gets better. So I guess, what was the family secret? That means the plot was misleading. What exactly was the family secret that drove them apart? So what the real pain is just about, like them traveling to Poland to honor their grandma, reminiscing on their childhood, having an adventure together, and then parting ways again. What was the family secret? These plots are very misleading, trust me. Or perhaps, right, if you've watched the full movie, right? And for some reason, this recap did not capture a certain vital part of the movie or exactly what the plot was. Please let us know in the comments, okay? Share with us. Give us paragraphs. We welcome it, okay? We will read it. Let's interact in the comments. Let's get active, okay? But yeah, generally, what will I rate this movie? Like a 4 out of 10. I like the Polish landscapes. I would say so. I like the different dynamics between the two cousins. One is so serious and one is always jovial, but then he's battling demons, right? Yeah, what else can I say about this movie? Nothing really. Maybe the lesson is like honor your grandma. Like, I don't know, guys. What would we supposed to take away from this movie? Go for adventures, like talk to your family members more often because life is short. Look, now I'm rambling because I feel like this movie is just a movie you watch like when you have nothing to do or when there's nothing better on TV. It seemed like a low budget movie, but good for its purpose, like the purpose that it serves, I guess. Guys, thank you so much for sticking with me for this watch party. I love you guys, and I enjoyed my time. And if you enjoyed your time too, at this watch party, please do like and don't forget to subscribe. Bye, guys.